to feel the danger close by in your own body, to be able to see through the eyes of the beast that's attacking, to wander through memories and receive some of the villain's powers after being attacked. If you watched the new season of Stranger Things and thought some things were similar to Harry Potter, you're not alone. Relax. The Leaky Cauldron is still a Harry Potter channel and will stay that way. But I watched the new season of Stranger Things, Volume 1 of Season 5, which is the last one, right? And man, while I was watching, I couldn't help but notice some similarities, so I decided to make this episode here. You can see that we even switched from the usual purple to red here, to give it a different vibe. Stranger Things. But this channel and this video are still about Harry Potter, right? Well, I really like Stranger Things. I've watched it since it came out. It's a show I think is really cool. I enjoy it a lot. And I was happy to see it. Some of these references, I don't know. I'll say that right away. I don't know if they're intentional references, or if they're just things that happen to be there, are purely similar, or are they just coincidences? Really? You know, because Harry Potter is a fantasy work that also draws inspiration and takes from other sources, right? Stranger Things uses a lot from Dungeons & Dragons, which is, well, a fantasy role-playing game. I'm not sure if it's a direct Harry Potter reference or just a coincidence. But what's interesting is the actor who played Will in Stranger Things, Noah. I don't know his last name. He noted a similarity between Will and Vecna's connection and that of Harry Potter and Voldemort, prompting him to rewatch the movies. And then I listed some things that, while I was watching, I found similar. One of the first things I noticed was when Holly, you know, Will's sister, is seeing that imaginary friend and all. She calls him Mr. What's It, translated in subtitles as Mr. Who Is It? Or Mr. Who Is That? I don't recall exactly, but it was something like that. And in the dubbed version, it was translated as Mr.
Fulano. I love Fulano, Beltrano. I love them anyway. So they gave him this nickname, right?
Here, the similarity isn't about the nickname, but something that happens because of it. They find out that the man who is, actually, was Henry, who is Vecna, right? Vecna's real name is Henry. And then, at one point, they say, "Oh, is it you, sir?" And then it's Will who says, "No, his real name is Henry." Like, they call him by his name. The real name for Mr. So-and-so, his name is Henry. And then I got this kind of vibe like, "Sir, who is it? You know who?" And then Dumbledore says, "You can call him Voldemort, right? It's fine." I found it somewhat similar there. Just know I'm not referring to the name, since "Sir, who is it?" isn't related to "you know who." But the thing about the context, like having a code name, having a name people called him, being known by a certain name, and then telling people to use his real name. I kind of thought that was a reference, but maybe it's just my imagination, right? Because I don't know, I wasn't watching it looking for references. Things just felt natural to me. When I saw it, it reminded me, so I'm not sure if it's really a reference. And then, after I saw the actor's interview, I thought, wow. After hearing what the actor said, I thought, maybe it's not just in my head after all. And I think the most obvious one, the clearest reference, is the references themselves. There's not just one, there are several. Will himself said his connection to Vecna is like Voldemort, as the actor mentioned. But, as he already mentioned, there's this connection that seems similar, but it goes beyond just the connection itself. There are specific points that I noticed. Will has this connection with Vecna because back in the first season, right? He was taken to the Upside Down, and then he starts to have a connection with Vecna, right? Then, in this season, we find out that Vecna put something there, like the vine. In the first season, it already shows that the vine was in his mouth, and they even pull it out, right? When they find him. But then Vecna put it there, and some gross stuff was passing through, really disgusting into the boy. He even vomits out the little slug. Later on, right, it turns into Dart anyway. And then he has this connection. A connection is established between Will and Vecna after he is attacked, when he is kidnapped and taken to the Upside Down. And Harry. This connection forms when Voldemort first attacks him as a baby, right? Voldemort tries to attack. His soul fragments, and everything else follows. The soul gets attached to Harry, and then Harry starts to have this inexplicable connection with Voldemort. So that's where we already have the first reference, right? The connection is established at the moment of the attack. Will is taken to the Upside Down. That's the first time he's taken, when he's kidnapped. Harry, at the moment when he's attacked by Voldemort.
And then this connection between Will and Vecna leads to several events. Things keep happening throughout the series.
It's like Harry Potter's link to Voldemort, or Will's, for example. In the end, in the fourth episode of this volume, right? Of this first volume, he uses his connection with Vecna, right? After he has some acceptance, you know? Like, he listens to Robin, right? Who gives him that really cool advice. Oh, something like this, you know? The answers were inside him, right? She says, "No, it took me a long time, but the answers were in me. They were always in me." And then he takes that, he realizes it, right? He understands it. And then he uses the mind connection with Vecna and controls it, kind of controls it. He uses Vecna's powers while he's in his mind, like using that mind connection. That's why his powers are different, right? The Duffer Brothers said that Will's power is different from Eleven's power. He uses Vecna's power because of their connection. So he uses it. And that scene was really crazy, right?
I was like, man, I thought it was amazing. I was like, wow, that's awesome, Will the Wise. You know, really cool. Really, really awesome.
Through that connection, he taps into Vecna's power. And the reference is Harry. He has some of Voldemort's powers, exactly because of the connection, for having part of Voldemort's soul living inside him. Like Parseltongue, right?
And he uses the connection with Voldemort to find Voldemort at some point there, in the Battle of Hogwarts. After they're fighting and all, they need to find another Horcrux. And then Harry uses this connection to get an advantage over Voldemort, right? He uses this connection in some way.
So, in other words, Will got this connection and uses this connection, right? With Vecna's powers. And Harry also uses this connection in some way. That's also a reference, another reference, that all these references I'm going to mention about Will and Vecna with Harry and Voldemort come from their connection, right? Another reference that this one is really, when Will starts to have visions of the Demogorgons, right? Not just the Demogorgons, but also the victims, since Vecna is in their minds, right? So he has visions of the victims, but he also has visions of the Demogorgons. He sees himself running there, right? The Demogorgon's running, and he has the vision, as if he were the Demogorgon man, exactly like Harry, right? When he sees Nagini attacking Mr. Weasley in his vision, he says, "No, I was the snake." It's the same with Will. He was the Demogorgon.
Because it's a collective mind thing there, right? And then he has this vision, and it's very similar. It's really, so it's here.
I think it really was a reference, you know? And it's really cool. It's really cool. Man, it's awesome when we see something we like making a reference to something else we like. It's awesome, right? And it doesn't stop there. There's more to this connection between Will and Vecna, which references Harry Potter and Voldemort. For example, Will. He gets that chill. He feels that chill on the back of his neck whenever, when Vecna is nearby. Or the Mind Flayer, or something like that.
He feels it. He senses the presence. He can sense the presence. And Harry feels it too. Through the scar, right?
The scar strongly symbolizes the connection between Voldemort and Harry, letting Harry feel Voldemort's emotions and presence. I thought it was cool too, and it could be a reference. I'm not sure if it's intentional or just a similarity, but either way, it's there. And another similarity is that Vecna tries to use this connection with Will. He even uses Will. He takes Will to the Upside Down and all that, right? Exactly, to use. Establishing this connection and using Voldemort wasn't intentional, right? But he also uses it. He tries to use the connection with Harry by doing what? Creating the visions. It's there, in Order of the Phoenix. When Harry sees the attack on Sirius, sees Sirius being tortured, so he uses it. Both of them use the vision to try to manipulate the hero. And this reference here, it's much more visual than anything else. It's much more visual. Even when Vecna comes out of the portal at the end of the 4th episode, he comes and then he pulls Will toward him. Will is paralyzed there. By the way, did you see my awesome Demogorgon t-shirt? Wait, let me stand up. Look, it's really cool, right? I've been wearing it since yesterday when I went to watch. Super excited.
Anyway, he pulls Will, right? Will comes toward him like this, paralyzed. And then he grabs Will's face, like he touches Will's face.
It strongly reminds me of that scene with Voldemort in Deathly Hallows, where the robe holds Harry and brings him to Voldemort. there's also an image, right? In the scene, it's not shown, but there's an image of Voldemort holding Harry's face. If you compare them, Eric looks very similar, really. I don't know if this was a reference here, like a visual thing. Let's make a visual reference as a tribute and all. Or if it was, I don't know, just a coincidence, but it looks like it. The point is that it looks like it. And also the part where Vecna, this part where Vecna is pulling, really reminds me of that part in Goblet of Fire too, where Voldemort lifts Harry up like that with magic, right? He's in the cemetery, and the scene where he lifts Harry up and says, "Stand up for me," really stood out to me. Now, moving a bit away from these references that come from Will's connection with Vecna, making a reference to Harry with Voldemort, those are really the biggest ones.
But, moving on, I noticed some others that I'm not sure about. I don't know if they really are, right? I'm making it clear that I don't know if they really are.
To be clear, this is just how I felt watching it. I'm not insisting that's what it is. If you noticed or felt this while watching, comment here. Max, when she appears, right?
When she first arrived, I was confused, but then she explained everything.
That she was in memories, wandering through memories, and the one she was in specifically was like a prison. She couldn't get out, kind of like a maze, and she even tried to get out, right? She was managing to do it, but then the sound was turned off there like, oh, just a moment to turn off the sound, right? So, man, for me, it really reminded me of the memories in Harry's pensieve, like wandering through the memories in the pensieve, like that. In the memory, not just the one he sees in Goblet of Fire, but also in the others, like Half-Blood Prince, you know, Slughorn's memory, right, man? And she says, and not just in the pensive memories, but also like Tom Riddle's diary.
Because what got me wasn't just the memory thing, it was the way she said it. Like, I was in some kind of memory, but I was the observer, the spectator.
And that's exactly how it's described in the book, right? Exactly that Harry was there, but he was just a spectator. People couldn't see him, couldn't interact with him. That's really cool. It was really cool for me. It was a reference. Another thing that when I saw it, I said, oh man, is this it? Man, I looked and said Harry Potter. Hopper is there in that laboratory of the world. It's kind of a laboratory, right? In the Upside Down.
And then a tentacle grabs him, strangling him and all that.
And then Dr. K, she says like this. Oh, the more you fight, the angrier, the more irritated, the more lethal it gets. The more lethal it gets, the more, that's it. The greater the threat, the more lethal it gets. I said, damn, Devil's Snare and Harry Potter. The more you fight, the faster it kills you. I'd already made that connection. She grabbed the light and said, oh, it doesn't like heat either, then made the light hotter. I said, damn, that's just like Devil's Snare, right? It doesn't like sunlight. Hermione even says, oh, Devil's Snare, it's cute, but in the sun, it withers, and then she casts the spell that creates sunlight, right? Which is hot.
So, man, I thought there were a lot of references. I thought it was really cool. There were some smaller ones too, you know?
Some smaller things, like Holly's mom stepping in front of her to protect her daughter from the Demogorgon. Stay away from my daughter. It was really about my daughter, not yours. Molly kept stepping in and pushing away. That's a mom thing, right? A mom is a mom. There's no way around it. A mom is a mom. And that really got to me. That scene was very much Molly Weasley and my daughter, not yours, bitch. And another one, I think it's the last one. I'm not sure. I need to watch it again. Those were the ones I noticed at first, and I didn't even write them down. I was just doing it from memory, but I should have written down more things.
Erica, who is Lucas's sister, right?
She's in class, raises her hand to answer, but the teacher ignores her. She's the only one with her hand up, yet the teacher just says, so, anyone?
Oh, so that's how it is. So, Erica was just like Hermione in Snape's classes, man. With Snape ignoring Hermione. Yeah, it was totally like that. It really reminded me right away. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it, man. But do you have any other references? Did you notice any other references? When we watch for references, everything can become one. Anything we want turns into a reference. I'm not sure if that's true here, but I kind of feel that way.
I don't know if I'm kind of lost in this episode here. I don't know if I'm kind of making the episode happen. Because I only talk about Harry Potter in the videos, right?
I'm not sure things are going as expected here.
Reminder, this is a Harry Potter video, not Stranger Things, though I'm also discussing Stranger Things. Those were the similarities. Those were the similarities I noticed. I don't know if you saw any other specific ones. If you want to share, comment down below.
And there's still the last episodes of Stranger Things from the final season, coming out on the 25th and 31st. I'm really looking forward to watching them. The thing was released a month early all at once, not weekly, right? We could watch one at a time, but now we just have to wait anxiously. I hope you guys enjoyed this special themed episode. Look, Stranger Things got a reference here and here too, in this little color.
If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, and share. See you in the next episode of Caldeiraofurado. Until then, mischief managed.